Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Friday, September 23rd, 2022, and as I approach the beautiful Lehigh Gap in Pennsylvania, I'm reminded of the early days of my channel. And a lot of you are new viewers, and you've mostly seen me chase trains, and I'm having a lot of fun doing that, and I intend to keep doing that. But if you remember back to the early days of my channel, and I appreciate those of you who've stuck with me since then, you remember I did a lot of driving videos back in the early days. Some of those driving videos I set to music. I just did a lovely scenic drive. I put some relaxing music. And it was, honestly, it was meant more for me to just have some recordings of the area I live in, but a lot of people enjoyed them too. And then other videos I did like this. I called them drive-in chats. And it was my chance to talk to all of you guys. Sometimes to talk about a specific topic, sometimes just to update you on my channel and my life. And you know what, guys, it's been a while since I've done one of those kind of videos. In fact, a lot of you have probably not seen any of those at all. And so while I'm on the early morning drive to Port Clinton to catch a steam engine pulling a freight train, and yes, there will be videos of that, I thought, this is a good time to just check in with everybody and let you know what's going on. So, it's been a whirlwind year. I believe it was early April. I first caught 2102 on the second and third test days. This was her first runs after being out of service since 1991. Reading and Northern put 6 years and $2.4 million into restoring her. You've seen her in many of my videos this year. We've been inside the cab twice. I gotta tell you guys, she looks better than new. They did a fantastic job. And things have changed, both for my channel and my life, since those days. It's funny, I, didn't really plan to make a whole summer of it, but after I caught her, those first 2 days, man, the enthusiasm, it just caught fire for me, and I haven't been able to stay home on a day that I know she's running. And it's also done really good for my channel, too. I think I had around 350 subscribers when she did her first test run, and I thought that was pretty good, and I thought monetization might be 5 or 6 years ahead. And as of yesterday, I think I'm at 907 subscribers, if I remember that right. I'm just over 900. I am blazing towards 1,000. I appreciate every single one of you. I know when I hit 1,000 and get monetized, I'm not going to be making a ton of money, but you know what? If it could buy me a tank or two of gas every month to help support these adventures, I'd be thrilled. Because let me tell you, I have been racking up the miles. So that said, those of you who've joined since April, thank you very much. Those of you who've been with me before then, thank you very much. I feel like we're now just at the beginning of something a whole lot bigger. And, as you can see, if you stuck with me through the summer, pretty much almost every weekend, I have been out chasing a train. I've been most weekends filming Saturday, editing Sunday, and then I've had a lot going on during the weeks in between. I've still been running my main business. I gotta say, it's not going quite as well this year as it did last year, but part of that, honestly, is I haven't had the time to market it properly. And I've also had some personal and family things going on. I don't want to get too into that, but it basically involves my parents are reaching an old age. They are now in a nursing home, and it's been up to me and my sister to clear out the house. A lot more of that has fallen on her than me. The good news in all of that is we are getting my father's collection of railroad stuff. For those of you who don't know, I've been a rail fan since before I can even remember. With my father, we were always going out to watch trains, film trains, ride trains, and play with model trains. So the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, guys. You can see where I got it from. It's been a lifelong love. You know, it's something that kind of receded into the background, you know, kind of once I hit my teenage years and then became an adult and got in the workforce. Always enjoyed a train, didn't necessarily actively chase them like I did now. Why did I start doing it these last couple of years? Well, March 2020, you remember what happened, I don't need to say it. A lot of my life went away after March 2020. A lot of that has not come back. And this was here to fill the void. And, you know, I may seem a little obsessive about it now, but I got to tell you guys, it's what's gotten me through the last couple of years. Chasing the trains, riding the trains, planning my layouts, plural, we'll get back to that. And, you know, just meeting, you know, the best part really has been meeting YouTubers, both people that I've become close friends with and just, you know, people from literally all over the world who leave comments to every video I post, or a lot of the videos. It's just really made the difference for me these last couple of years, and I don't plan to slow down on, well, slow down maybe, stop, heck no. I'm having way too much fun with this. So this, you know, in many ways I don't see going back to what life was like before March 2020. I mean, I'd like to get back to some things. It would be nice to go to a concert and a baseball game and a hockey game and, you know, an IndyCar race. I mean, those things used to be my life, and certainly they've been doable the last year and a half. But, you know, now I've moved on to this, and I don't want to give this up to get full-blown back into that, because I am just having too much fun with this. So we are in Bowmanstown here. We are getting on 895. This road constitutes most of my drive out to the Port Clinton area, and it's a drive I've been making a lot this year. So I got a lot of videos in the queue. And I'll give you a little heads up on what the game plan for them is going forward. I've got some that you haven't seen yet. I've got the full ride on the Belvedere and Delaware Railroad. That's the one that I rode in Phillipsburg the day of the Railroad Festival. I've got a ride on the bike train, the Lehigh Gorge bike train. I did the full ride round trip. I didn't take my bike. But you'll get to see a lot more of Lehigh Gorge than I've ever been able to show you on the regular excursion train. I think that one posts tomorrow, so you'll see that before this one. And then yesterday I was out to Strasburg Railroad with my sister. That was my treat to her for her birthday. And we rode the train. We went rail fanning. It was a really fun day. That's a railroad we used to visit regularly as kids. Her being younger than me, she didn't really remember it so well. I had decent memories of it, but again, they were little kid memories. So it was actually my second ride on that train this year, but I got a very, very unique view, and then something really cool also happened mid-ride that was just really good luck. So I think you're going to enjoy that one. In terms of non-train stuff, I did a bike ride on the Ironton Rail Trail with some other YouTubers last weekend. I still have to edit that one. That one will probably be another week or two away. I don't really know what the production schedule is at this point. Guys, the logistics of handling videos this year has practically been a full-time job. But that's really fun because, you know, not only did we have a nice bike ride and a nice time enjoying each other's company, but there's a lot of railroad and industrial memorabilia along that trail, and we stopped to show a lot of that to you, and I think it's pretty interesting. And then there's a lot more fun coming up. I mean, like I said, we're chasing 2102, pulling a revenue coal train today. I mean, that was a bucket list item of mine since I was a kid, was to see a steam engine pulling a freight train. And this will actually be my third time this year. And let me tell you, it's still a thrill. It's just so cool. So doing that today, and then tomorrow I am going to be joining Nick from Nick's Crossing at Schuylkill Haven Borough Day. And we're going to ride behind 2102, guys. It'll be my first ride. It'll be Nick's second. I've been saying all year how I have the Dome Car ticket for the October 29th run from Reading to Jim Thorpe, and it just feels like, even though I've had that ticket since they went on sale, it doesn't feel like October 29th is getting any closer. So I got impatient, and we're going for a ride tomorrow. And that's actually what today's run is in preparation of. They're running some of the same track that they're going to be, in fact, they're running all the same track and then some that they're going to be using tomorrow, and then they're going to be turning the locomotive in the direction it needs to be turned. They have to do that at one of several Ys. The turntable in Port Clinton is not big enough, so that's a good excuse to pull a freight train. I'm not complaining. We all enjoy it. And then the following 2 weekends, I'll be chasing 2102 again. It'll be the fall foliage excursions. That'll be the usual Reading to Jim Thorpe route. And that'll actually end up being a different series of videos because I've been told the consist is going to be a little different. They are probably not going to have the Sunset Grill dining car in there. And they are probably going to put the helper diesel or diesels in line with the steam locomotive. I'm not thrilled about that, but the way they run trains logistically in October, because they have the additional run where they move the bud cars from Pottsville to Jim Thorpe, and they run the gorge trains every hour instead of every 2 hours. Given all that, yeah, I can understand why logistically they'd have to simplify things. Makes sense. But because I then kind of put an end to the Iron Horse Rambles series, I actually have a compilation video where I took all of the great crossings and places I've caught the locomotive and strung them into one video, so it kind of looks like I was in 50 places at once. And it's, I cut out all the me talking. Some people like that, some people don't, but just the footage of the train running came close to an hour. I figured you didn't need to listen to me on top of that. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. I am going to start slimming down the number of videos I put every time I chase 2102 because quite frankly everything's getting unwieldy. I was putting individual videos of every catch earlier in the year. I was mainly doing that to get the stuff out there quicker because it was such a hot topic, and some people really did just want that quick hit. And at this point, I think what I'm going to do is just make each chase one standalone video. If I don't do that, guys, we're going to be publishing 2102 videos into the new year. Just production-wise, I've got to slim it down. There's not enough days in the calendar. And then I got some other train events coming up in October from different railroads. I'm not going to say just what yet because there's some days where there's 2 or 3 options of what I can do on that day, and I think I know which ones I'm doing, but I'm not 100%. So we'll just see what happens there. Obviously, October 29th is my much-awaited ride in the Dome Car behind 2102, Reading to Jim Thorpe. And then the following weekend, November 5th and 6th, we're going to be chasing 425. And I know we haven't seen a lot of her this year. That's because she is due for her 1,472-day overhaul/inspection, so they have limited days that they're actually able to run her this year because of that. We chased her from Mountaintop down to Jim Thorpe. We saw her on the double header with 2102 on August 13th, which was a thrill. I've never seen a steam engine double header, and man, was it fantastic. She's going to be running November 5th and 6th. I'm definitely going to be rail fanning one of those days. And I may go for a ride the other day, or I may rail fan both days. I haven't made that decision yet. I'm on the fence. Excuse me, guys. It's first thing in the morning and I'm still thirsty. It's amazing I made it this far. Yeah, so I'm not sure which way I want to do that one yet. I definitely love going for a ride, and Jim Thorpe is fantastic that time of year. But it's literally a week after my dome car ride, and it's going to be hard to get footage that's, different. Then again, I may just go put the camera down and just be in the moment and enjoy the ride. I don't know yet. That's to be determined. And then there may be another big train chase mid-November, but I don't have details on that yet, so I don't want to get ahead of myself. But if it's what I think it's going to be pretty darn cool. And then another thing in the mix that I haven't scheduled yet because, well, Reading and Northern hasn't scheduled it yet, is we're still waiting on 3 more Bud cars, the RDCs that you guys know I love so much. Somewhere in here I'd like to get a ride on the RDCs. For those of you who don't know, if you want to ride them from Reading to Jim Thorpe, they're already sold out for September. I believe there's still tickets for the Pottsville to Jim Thorpe runs in October. They did sell out last year. I had dragged my feet on buying the tickets, and it went from you could get whatever you wanted to wow, it was slim pickings. So, but I did get tickets, obviously. You saw those videos probably. At some point I'd like to ride the RDCs again. It's almost just a logistical, where can I find a free day to fit it in, but I'm also kind of hoping they get these new ones this year. And yeah, new ones. They were built in the 1950s. New to them. I've heard they're supposed to be pretty nice. I mean, I think the ones they have now are pretty nice, and I kind of get the impression these new ones are even a little bit nicer. And I'm kind of trying to hold out to see if they're going to run. I hear, and I don't know if it's confirmed, so I'm not trying to start rumors here, but I've heard that there could be a route from Pittston to Jim Thorpe using those. Don't take my word for it. When you hear it from Reading and Northern, that's when I'll consider it official. I think there's logistically been some issues setting that up. I'm kind of holding out hope, though. I'd really like to do that, and if possible, I'd love to be on the first one of those rides. So that's a big to be determined, and then that's kind of going to close out what I've been calling steam season for the year. That'll run almost up to Thanksgiving, and then we get hopefully back into model trains and 3D printing. I know that was something I talked a lot about last winter and spring, and I was all set up and I was ready to hit the ground running, and then just with all this other stuff going on, it's yeah, I guess you could say it came off the tracks a little bit. What you don't know yet, well, I'm going to tell you, and then later I'll show you. So last fall I started building that little shelf layout, and I do need to get back to that. I know I start these projects and series, and then they fall off the map after 2-3 episodes, but it's still happening, guys. But what's happened in the interim? So last year this time I had 0 train layouts. You know how many I have now? I have 4. And you've seen the second one of them, hopefully. I did a video called Christmas in July. And that was all part of this cleaning out my parents' house. As I was actually, I never thought I'd see it again, but able to get reunited with the N-scale layout I had as a kid. And I gotta tell you, that's just almost overwhelming how, I can't even put in words how cool that is. That was just, I don't think there was a day that went by when I was a little kid that I wasn't down in the basement running that thing. And that layout is, I mean, you look at it and it looks finished. My dad did do a lot to it after I moved out of the house many, many years ago. He built a little town in the middle that had just been plywood when I was a kid. He changed the sidings considerably. He added an engine house. He finished the scenery. It looks fantastic. If you haven't seen that video, watch it. But it still actually does need some work. put all these new sidings in, but he never wired them up. So all I can really do is park trains for display. He does have them, it's a DC layout, so he does have them properly blocked. But I do need to wire them up for operation, so that's something I need to do. And there's a few little bare spots with scenery that need to be filled in. And then it has sort of this odd thing where he put an Exxon station and a Gulf station together, gas stations, almost as if they were one station, and it's a little odd. So I think I'm actually going to be removing the Gulf station, making it Exxon only, and then reclaiming some real estate so that I can actually build a building of my own and put it on. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. Probably, I don't know, probably something residential. I don't know, I have to figure that out. Alright, so you're like, that's 2 layouts. How did you get 4? Well, I kid you not, the weekend before all this started with putting my parents in the nursing home, I framed out a new layout in the garage. And that was going to be my project for the summer and fall. It's a simple layout. It's just a double loop of track. The reason I did it is I've been buying a lot of large locomotives and a lot of large rolling stock. And you haven't seen really the crown jewel of my collection. I got a Broadway Limited Pennsylvania Railroad T1. It's different than the Reading T1. Completely different locomotive. It's a 4-4-4-4 wheel configuration. And, you know, it arrived and I tested it on the switching layout, and all you can do is move it back and forth about 3 feet. And you're out of track. And I just was like, you know, these big locomotives and my passenger trains and all that, they need somewhere to run. And alright, don't mind me, I'm a little distracted by this busy intersection. Yeah, so I framed it out. Like I said, it's just a 6 foot by 4 foot. It's just a double loop of track. And my plan with it was to do scenery to make it like a winter theme. Alright, sorry guys, that intersection got ridiculous. I'm back. You know, I want to do it all up nice, like a little winter town with some, you know, a little mountain, a little tunnel, a river, frozen river probably. I just really, I wanted to keep it simple. The track's going to be flat. The scenery will be what gives it the, you know, the height variation, and I just want somewhere that I can put my big trains on and set them to run and watch them. I don't really want any complicated switching or this or that on it. I just want this to run. So I framed that out, and its current state is it's just framed. The foam board for the base scenery is down, and the track is just, it's Uscato Unitrack. It's just temporarily placed on the board. And I never got back to it. And I don't know if I'm gonna or not. So this year's 12 Days of N Scale, some of it's probably going to be filmed on my childhood layout. And then some of it probably will be filmed on this new winter layout, but you're probably not going to see much other than green foam board, and, you know, maybe we'll just do things like I did on my desk last year with that simple loop of track, where we do things like make rock cuts out of real coal and just put some Christmas decorations, and, you know, I don't know, we'll make it work. But we will have a new 12 Days of N Scale in December. And so there's still one more layout that I haven't told you about. So my father was building a layout for my sister, an N-scale layout. It's a little bit bigger than the one that he built for me when I was a kid. And it's pretty, I wouldn't say far along, but reasonably far along. It's a double main line. It's a figure-8 loop of track. It has, both loops actually go through a mountain with a tunnel. There's some elevation changes. There's a nice truss bridge where the figure-8 crosses itself. It's going to be a very scenic layout. I think the layout is there's not really going to be a lot of buildings on it. I think I'm going to put a farm inside one of the loops, and then I'm not sure what I'm going to put inside the other. I'm kind of leaning towards like a campground or an RV park or something. I have to figure that out. That layout's not operational yet. The track, it was stored in a part of their basement that was very damp. The track is fairly oxidized. It's going to need a major cleaning before it can run, but I do believe it will run. But it also needs to be wired up. It was never wired. So it needs to be wired up, and he actually put siding on, not a siding, I guess you would say a spur's not really the right word. Maybe that's the word I'll use. It's still early in the morning, words aren't coming to me. Where the two layouts can connect to each other. My childhood layout to the one he was building for her. So I'm probably ultimately going to put them together. So then, I don't know, do I have 4 layouts or do I have 3? I don't know how to even count that at that point. That all needs to be happening, and then the scenery needs to be finished. He has only gotten as far as, putting the foam board for the base level of the scenery. He did start the big mountain in the corner, and some of the plaster's done and some is not, so I gotta basically pick up where he left off. But I think, because I've never done scenery myself before, and I've said in other videos, everyone says it's pretty easy, but I'm kind of intimidated by it just because it's very different than anything I've ever done. I think this might be a good layout to kind of, quote, learn to do scenery. So I'm probably not even going to touch that this year, but that's just something down the road we'll look at doing. And, layouts, I'm not in a rush to get any of these done. It's about the journey, not the destination. Probably when I finish these, I'll want space to build new ones. I don't know. So most of the layout stuff's going to fall into next year. Hopefully we get to it next year. And last but not least, I still need to get back to, actually 2 things. I need to get back to 3D printing, and I need to get back to, you remember that medieval village I started building, which coincidentally happens to be N-scale. To be completely honest with you, I didn't even know that when I bought it. I was looking for a standalone project. I was going to make that an N-scale Renaissance fair because I had a plan for a different layout. I was going to build in the loft of my house, and for now I've scrapped the loft layout plans. Won't even get into that now, just too many logistical space planning issues related to that. And with 4 other layouts, let's face it, I'm not going to get to that anytime soon, but I still want to finish building that village. That's a good project in its own right. That has its own series of videos. And I kind of honestly, I need a lot of this stuff to sort of, I need to get through a lot of this stuff because I really need to focus more on my business. Things haven't quite gone where I wanted them to go with that this year, and I'll just be completely upfront and honest when I say I'm actually looking for, I'm looking for a lot of different things. I'm still trying to market the business, but I'm also on the lookout for a job. I hate to say it. I'm open to full-time work if I find the right thing, which would of course change a lot of everything I described to you. But kind of what I'd really like to find is a part-time job, something hopefully with flexible scheduling, to just kind of help fill in the voids while I continue to build the business. And I should really say businesses, because my intention has been to run the 3D printing thing, not just as a hobby, but as its own business where I can design buildings, sell them to other model railroaders, buildings, accessories. Probably not going to do rolling stock, but I admit I have a couple ideas in my head. Just too many projects, too little time, guys. If I had a lot of money in the bank and could afford to retire, I would never be bored. Honestly, I still would not have time to do everything I want to do. So you can see we're trying to work and do all that stuff. This is why my projects take an eternity. So, alright, well, I think I've prattled on long enough. We're not really getting the greatest view here looking at the back of this tractor trailer. We're getting close to New Ringgold. I'll probably cut this off before we get there. But, one last thing. As we push towards 1,000 subscribers, another thing that keeps getting bumped down on my to-do list, you remember when I hit 500 subscribers? I mean, that was only a couple months ago, but, you know, I thought there would be a year or two long gap between 500 and 1,000. And I said I wanted to do a Q&A, and a couple of you submitted some really good questions, and I said I was going to do a special Q&A video to answer those questions. And guess what I still haven't done, guys? I haven't gotten to it. It's literally been on my to-do list every week for several months, and just other things keep taking precedent. But now that we get closer to 1,000, I'm just going to roll this into one video. So if you're still watching this far, I mean, I'll go ahead and make community posts or announce it somewhere, but send in some questions. I mean, what do you want to know? Do you want to know something about trains? Do you want to know something about me? Do you want to know something about my plans for the channel? You know, I'll answer just about anything. I mean, if I don't know the answer on the train stuff, I'll try to find it out. I'll answer personal questions, just no sensitive topics, guys. Use common sense with that. But, you know, if you want to get to know me better, or if you just want to, you know, I don't know, whatever you want to ask. We'll have some fun with that, and, you know, I'll see if I can come up with combining that with maybe something even a little more exciting for 1,000, but, I've had a hard time thinking that far ahead. I mean, it's coming up fast. I wouldn't have believed it a couple months ago, but, you know, it's pretty exciting to see the way this channel grows. I guess at this point we might as well just take this to New Ringgold, and then I'll wrap it up. Yes, I'm long-winded. This is normal for me. Yeah, so send in your questions. You can put them here, and sometime in the next week or so, I'll put a community tab post. You can put them there. You can email them to me. I do have an email address, guys. If you go to my About tab, I think you have to click the I'm Not a Robot button to actually unveil it. You know, feel free to email me. Feel free to reach out. I have gotten a couple people emailed me. I do need to catch up on email replies to a couple people. And, yeah, so here we are in New Ringgold. You've seen this crossing many times from me. Hold on. Gotta negotiate the... It's funny, you know, I say negotiate the traffic here, and it's nothing compared to when we're here rail fanning. This turns into, like, city streets with just the gridlock when the train's coming through. Yeah, and I lost my train of thought. We will not be catching 2102 at this crossing today. She's going to be running on the track from between Port Clinton and Port Carbon, which goes through Schuylkill Haven and West Cressona, and then it veers off just before Pottsville. And a lot of that is new track for me, rail fanning. So anyway, you've stuck with me long enough, guys. That's what's going on. We're going to finish this year strong. Next year, it's going to be a lot more trains, but I am going to try to get back to doing a little bit more of the variety next year. That's something I've missed doing. Probably not going to go back to the traditional driving videos so much, but you know, there's a lot of industrial history in this area, and I know when I started this channel, that's something I wanted to focus on more, and I think we're going to get back to doing stuff with the industrial history, exploring some of the canals, some of the paths a little bit more, and I'd like to somehow, I don't know how I'd incorporate it, you know, I'm interested in architecture, I'd like to somehow tie in the architecture of this area with that. That might be tied more in with my 3D printing. We'll see. Anyway, I've talked long enough, guys. Thank you so much for riding along. let's go chase 2102 today. That will be a separate video. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you down the tracks.